No ring.
Until it's phone.
Good evening, everyone. I would like to call tonight's meeting of Tuesday, February 17th, 2026 to order. If you can at this time, please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Trustee Smith.
Here.
Trustee Ruggles.
Here.
Clerk Noble, yes. Here. Supervisor Kowal.
Here.
Treasurer Roman.
Here.
Trustee Voorhees.
Present.
Trustee Anderson.
Here.
Okay, at this time, I would like to remove item 9C and submit that agenda as noted. Looking for support? Support. I have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, ayes have it. Next item is public comment. Public comment is generally for items that are not.
5. I'm an elected official, just like the rest of you people here on the board, except I don't get paid. There's been a lot of things going on in the national news and the local news, especially in Romulus and stuff, about immigrants and ICE. And I would ask that the board consider an ordinance to make it illegal for ICE to enter into public buildings such as schools and churches in this township. Libraries, things like that. I would also like to make it in that ordinance say that it's illegal to enter into a private home or building without a court order. I know that might be a little bit tough to put in there, folks, but it's something we need to do. I'll see how I go in my 3 minutes. The other thing, I'd like to pass an ordinance that we don't end up like Romulus. There's no zoning available for prisons or retaining places for immigrants. I don't know how many people on the board would support that, but there's a lot of constituents out there, a lot of the people I represent, that are very, very much in favor of it. As far as I'm concerned, and I know this sounds crazy, all of you know that I'm a historian that have been here, my mother was. This was our land well before it was yours. I could document my family back here in the year 1200, before Columbus and everything. Our tribe, this was our tribal land. So I personally just have a hard time when people come in and say people are immigrants and they can't do this and can't do that. All you folks were. Part of my family was. My great-great-great-grandfather fought in the Revolutionary War, and we lost because he fought for King George. King George ended up giving us a piece of land, which my great-great-great-grandfathers married a squaw, which is part of my family, and that's so this. I don't care where these people come from, as long as they're not doing anything illegal, and this crap that's going on, we got to stop it, folks. And we surely don't want it in White Lake Township. I hope to hear from you soon. Anybody that might, everybody knows who I am. Get a hold of me. If you want legal, the way it should be legally written up, I'm not an attorney, but I will get it for you, Richard. Okay, or anybody else. I don't know any, but that's my 3 minutes, and God bless White Lake Township and all our citizens.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else at this time? Seeing on, moving to regular.
The density and about the number of units. At that time, they were proposing 120 units. That was the last time a robust review of the plan was done. The board voted to give direction to the developer to come back to the planning commission with 115 units. You specifically removed the 2 units closest to Bogey Lake Road. If you look at the screen, it's kind of in the upper right-hand corner here. And also 3 more units down here to thin the number of houses out along Cedar Island and increase the minimum width. The minimum lot size in the development is 62 feet, and that is still the case. There are some larger, but those along the corridor that you see along Cedar Island have a width now of about 77 feet. Additionally, this plan shows a cut through this, as you can see, between lots 50 and 51, a walkway that wasn't previously there with some of the open space that was achieved by removing those 3 lots. A sidewalk that's consistent with what's north of it that leads into their park area was also included. Those were the changes that were directed by the township board at that meeting. And this plan was kind of a culmination of that direction that went back to the planning commission. And you had asked the planning commission to reconsider this plan. And again, they did so on February 5th. A couple things I want to point out because it was important for the planning commission to know when it went from 120 to 115 units, which is what's before you. It went from 3.3 units an acre to 3.19 units an acre. The open space went from 9.77 acres to 10.2 acres. By percentage, that is 28.4% of the property is open space versus 27% in the last iteration. The distance from Bogey Lake Road, which is, again, the upper right-hand corner, was previously 73 feet from the edge of the right-of-way to the first lot. It is now 135 feet. And then, as I mentioned, the lots along Cedar Island, 3 more units were taken out in that location, and so those lot widths went from 62 feet to 77 feet. That's a very brief summary of what was effectively minor changes that were directed by you. Full review was not done again. The engineering is unchanged. All the other requirements of the site plan that were reviewed during preliminary still exist and would have to be addressed at final if it were to move on. The Planning Commission, at their meeting after some discussion and after some comments they received, voted 3-2 to recommend denial again of the site plan. You have those minutes in the packet with all that discussion. I know we've been through this a couple of times. I'm happy to answer any questions you have, but that's basically the summary and the synopsis of what's before you and what occurred on February 5th at the Planning Commission. So, again, they're seeking approval of their preliminary site plan, and they're requesting that their rezoning be moved from first reading to second reading, which is the case in any rezoning request. It takes, as you guys all know, 2 readings. So those are the 2 items kind of in conjunction that are, while they're separate on your agenda, they're certainly interrelated to one another because, the project can't move ahead without both pieces. If you have any questions for me, I'd be happy to answer them. But I do have, I guess, after some discussion, a couple more comments to make, which.
Sean, I think it's important to clarify that the agenda was, you were relying on all of the documents that were submitted and reviewed by this board in January, and that they are now attached to the agenda for.
They are, yeah, that full volume, and like I mentioned, no further review was done other than to identify the changes, and that's what I meant by that. It's a brief summary, which I just gave you. I hit the highlights of the changes to this plan that resulted in the removal of the lots that you guys asked. So everything else remains unchanged.
So the request goes back to the original preliminary site plan that was submitted as amended by the plan in the packet today.
So the action that you're seeking should, I don't know what they're going to do, so it's hard for me to tell them.
I guess I just wanted to clarify that it's not just this plan that if they were to approve it, it wouldn't just be this plan. It would be the original preliminary site plan
with this layout.
Yes.
Right, that's why I mentioned that all the other comments still remain and have to be addressed if this were to move forward. As I mentioned, this just simply changes the layout. So the layout would pick up any of the other things that are mentioned in those preliminary reviews at the time of final and gets I guess, further cleaned up and further actually evolved through the final site plan approval. So, again, without knowing what direction this is going to go tonight, it's hard for me to give you advice as to what a motion should or should not include, but procedurally, they're asking for you to move ahead with their site plan. And again, all the review comments has been said, as has been said a couple of times, they all remain. The only thing that's changed, the only thing that's different before you tonight in this volume of information is this plan and the few comments that I made that were attached to the memo dated February 6th that were in your packet.
Very good. Any questions from the board at this time?
Yes, I do. I have a couple. Comparing this to the preserve at Hidden Pines, how many houses per acre were you able to put in, and what was it? You can't compare apples to oranges, absolutely. But and I apologize because my computer is not up, so I'm trying to do this. How many houses did you have per acreage on Hidden Pines versus?
I think it's Preserve at Hidden Lake.
Yeah, I know, I'm not surprised.
Preserve at Hidden Lake.
Preserve at Hidden Lake. No, sorry, I apologize. Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, so you're gonna see me on my phone tonight, so I apologize. Like, my computer won't boot up technology. Yeah.
I don't have an exact amount. It's relatively similar to this. I think Trailside Meadow would be relatively similar to this.
Just let me, no. You want me to work on it or not?
That's another units per acre in the preserve at Hidden Lake. The density, is it 3.5 or whatever?
Not alone in technology. I had to go switch computers out, so.
I can't. Isn't that weird?
No, I just turned it off.
No, absolutely, I agree. I just, basic,
I was going to guess 3.6,
So
but
it-
3.34.
okay.
Based on the acreage and the number of units that you have.
And so it's equally about the same?
Very
Even though we can't
similar.
compare apples, like I said, I'm trying to do this from memory because this is down.
It's less.
It's less here. Yep, that's what I thought. Because I like the layout and the looks of that. I just wish preserves at Hidden Lake, sorry, I apologize again, would look more, that would be more equal, density-wise.
It's very similar. There's really.
Right.
You're
I agree.
in the
Agreed.
tenths of a unit difference, so it's very, very similar to that. So, anyone else?
Yeah, I had one.
Mr. Anderson?
One of the things that I asked was, did the planning commission give the developer a number that they would be happy with? You know, as far as, that's what I asked.
Yeah, you gave the planning commission the number.
No, I mean, before we did that, before we gave the planning commission a number, meaning take out the 5, did the planning commissioner did not tell the developer how many units that they would be happy with? So when we went back to them, did they say anything else? Because I didn't see in the notes, that question was not answered.
So you sent them back 115. Before that, the number that we talked about was the 109, which was the density plan that we talked about, the parallel plan, density plan, they're the same thing, that they would be they demonstrate that they would be able to achieve that certain number of lots if this were a straight rezoning. Because we talked at the last meeting how the master plan calls out a handful of different zoning districts that would be appropriate for the rezoning of this property consistent with the master plan.
Right.
R1D, R1C, RM1, RM2, PD. They've chosen one of these, and they're trying to use a density that is more akin to an R1D, which is why they showed that parallel plan of 109 units to set that baseline. So that's the number that everyone was looking at as a baseline, assuming that this property could be rezoned to R1D because the master plan itself calls that out as appropriate. So that's the only number that really was focused on. They had given comments back about the density and the appearance from the roadway, the fact that the master plan called for it to be thinner at Bogey Lake Road, and the developer's answer was they had the detention basin as a buffer. You guys sort of addressed that by saying we'll take a couple of lots out right at Bogey Lake Road to create a larger buffer, which I mentioned, I think it's 135 feet instead of 72. I think that's the number.
Steve,
If you're wondering if the planning commission ever said that they had a number
That's
in
what I
mind
was asking.
that
Yeah.
they'd be happy with, but that's never come up. They've never said
Okay.
a number that they would target.
Because that was one of the things that I wanted to understand in the past as far as being on the planning commission. Sometimes we'd give a developer, if there was some issues that were arguing about the number of units or whatever else, then the planning commission would say, well, you know, if we want to move forward, I'd be happy with this number. So that's what I was asking, and that's.
We haven't had that.
Yeah, they didn't identify a number. They wanted some units to come out. You know, the first plan in earnest that they brought forward had 125. That, not conceptual, but where they were asking to take action. Then it went to 120. Then after it came through to you guys, it went down to 115. So every time it comes back, it was obviously moving closer to that 109 number and closer to a number that, you know, and this was the first vote where there was a split vote. Previously, they had been unanimously against it, so there was a split vote in this case. So some planning commissioners felt as if it was sufficient at 115, but that's really the difference now. It's 109 is the baseline that has been generally accepted, and they're at 115. And so the question that was talked about at the Planning Commission, is what's being proposed a better plan, and is what's being offered good enough to justify the 6 additional units? Because they're demonstrating that by right, they can come in and rezone this to R1D, and our own master plan allows it. Then if they get R1D zoning, there is no requirement for parks and open spaces and some of these other things. So is this plan being nicer? And someone asked me if it was nicer, and I didn't want to answer the question last month. I said, well, it's prettier. I don't know who asked it. It's green. So this one looks better than the density plan. But in truth, obviously, when there's open space, it's usable and things are kind of separated. It generally looks better, it functions better, people receive it better. And I think that's the way the Planning Commission felt. I think they feel that it's trending in the right direction, but some of them are just not comfortable with it at this point. That's where they're at. And you know, I think there was some talk about, you know, obviously the traffic has come up a lot. The safe routes to school, the sidewalk to school was a benefit. Some of the public had various comments about traffic and about pedestrian access. You know, again, we see a lot of PD plans like this when residential projects are coming in with numbers like this, because it gives them the opportunity to reduce the lot size, still produce a similar number of units, and then provide open space that makes it more attractive to the people who both live by there and pass by, compared to what that parallel plan we all looked at, and that I can show again if we need to, would provide. And I think that's kind of, you know, it in a nutshell.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Thanks, Scott, I appreciate it.
Mr. Roman.
Hey, John, if you look at the master plan, what is the range of units per acre for a development like this in the master plan?
So the master plan in this area calls for a range of 2 to 8 units an acre. And I remember us talking about this last month as well. What is possibly not clear in giving that number is somewhere between 2 and 8, probably around 4.5 or 5. It ceases to be undeveloped at a density beyond 4.5 or 5 without it being an attached product. And I don't know, I mean, you've turned this inside and out, Jim. I would say once you get to 5 units and up, even above 4, it becomes, so as you increase the units per acre, you've got to squeeze down the lot sizes if they're detached, if that makes sense, in order to fit those units in here. So if you were to get, Mike, to 5 or 6 units an acre, which would be allowed in that range, you'd be looking at an RM1 or an RM2 project where you've got 4 plexes or 6 plexes, where you lose all that side yard and you sandwich these units together. It's the only way to get to that high end. So I would say, because people are asking, is this at the high or is it at the low end? It's sort of in the middle of the lower end, but it's in the middle of what would be an accepted range, almost smack dab in the middle of what's the accepted range for single family detached. So really 2 to 4 units, Jim's saying, is probably, if it's a detached product, which is, you know, what they're proposing, it couldn't really get north of 4 without it having to be attached, because you just can't get the frontage that you need. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So to get
So it's
beyond
right
that.
in the middle.
Yeah, of the detached single family.
detached.
If you were gonna go up to 8 units an acre, which again, the master plan does say specifically you could, it would have to be a stacked product. It would have to be more like what is being done at Avalon, where you've got a big bunch of units combined together, sixplexes. And
Why do you think they're so stuck on the 109 number if they're at 3.19 now, which is right smack in the middle of what you're saying?
I don't want to, and maybe Scott can help me on this. I don't want to speak for them, but I think that some of it is looking at it in the context of its surroundings, right? We've just talked about a project that these guys did on the other side of town, in the southeast corner of town, that looks very different from this side of town. So what's similar on the other side of town and it fits in, is it received the same way or viewed maybe the same way on this side of town? There's a Trailside Meadow, which is down Elizabeth Lake Road on the south side. Also, I don't know what their number is, but it's probably very similar to what Preserve at Hidden Lake and what this project is. But it's dropped into in the middle of subdivisions on quarter-acre lots or third-of-an-acre lots, not surrounded by lower density. And so I think it's the contrast, Mike, between what's being proposed, even if it does fit within that range, that's hard for the Planning Commission and frankly for the neighbors who have shown up to envision, because it's a departure from what they're living with, what they have, what they're used to, and what they expect next door.
Does the Planning Commission know what the range is though, Sean?
They do. We've talked about it quite a bit, yes.
Well, I had.
Down this end, Trustee Smith.
My comments don't really change from last time we met. I'm still a no on this project. I think the density is too high. The lot size is way too small, in my opinion. Oh, sure. Can you hear me? My mic on, Ken? Yeah. My opinion doesn't change from last time that we met. I'm a no on this. I think the density is too high. The lot size is too small. You're very nice to work with. Nothing wrong with your product. I believe it's quality. You're cooperative. It's nothing personal. I just am not for this project.
Mr. Ruggles.
Well, I think Sean pretty much summed up our planning commission meeting. I don't have anything to add on that. My position would be the same. Mike, you asked about the 109. That's their parallel plan, right? So at our last township board meeting, I believe we're operating under the general premise that if this isn't something that they're going to be able to get from us, that they could accomplish getting the 109, without a PUD rezoning. So it's a different type of zoning, just a little bit less dense, that they would be entitled to by right, so they say, with their parallel plan, which shows 109. So if this were to not happen, then conceivably 109 is going to take place. And that's the discussion that we've been having at this board and the planning commission. Do we prefer this, the way it's presented to us, or do we continually say no, and then they get 109 that doesn't look nearly as good? So that's the general conversation that we've been.
And there's a third option, because it's a PD, the board can dictate another number. We don't have to say 109. We can have a lower density.
Don't settle. Right.
My comment.
Mr. Noble.
No comment.
Okay. It just gets difficult sometimes for everyone to find that mid-ground. And I've talked to many residents, and some of them have said to me, this is where we've lived, this is how it is, this is what we've enjoyed, things of nature. Change is inevitable, okay? You're not going to stop it, okay? What you try to do is get the most that you can out of it in a situation that benefits the community, and hopefully the end result is a decent development. You can look at this, and a number just happened to pop up here that's just a coincidental number. And I'll bet most of you here don't even really know that number and what I'm referring to. White Lake Township, itself proper, its density is 28% parkland. 28, almost a third of White Lake Township is either a state park or a municipal park. Pontiac Lake Recreation, Highland Rec, Stanley Park, and the miscellaneous other parks that the township has. And just by sheer coincidenza, the amount of property that they're willing to preserve is 28%. It's the same number. I mean, it just, not that it really means anything, but it just goes to show you that you're living in a 28% open land area right now. And it's a generous plan from a spatial standpoint. How many of you have taken the time, I've asked this before, to go and take a look at their other development, their other product? Anybody drive over there and take a look at it? Okay.
Oh, yeah. They're on top of each other.
It's a decent product. The houses are nice. There's plenty of room in between everything. And not everyone today wants to have a monstrous backyard. There's so many studies out there now that are saying the millennials don't want a large backyard. They don't want to maintain all that property. Is it the right choice for you or me? Nah, not me. I like having elbow room.
Yeah, but millennials are
But
also.
excuse me, one conversation here, okay? So the simple fact that a product is being put forth and designed and presented to us, we have an obligation as a board to look at this from a lot of different standpoints. Look at the economic impact, look at the potentially the environmental impact and other things. And by the way, environmental impact, there's going to be 5,000 feet of sewer line tugged up the road. It's going to make a significant difference for anybody that's up on the lakes in that area in the future, not if, but when their septic systems go bad, okay? And they're not going to be willing to pay the $40,000 to $45,000 that the septic field is going for these days, unfortunately. And I am not off on my numbers, okay? And these are all the things that we have to take into consideration and try to find the best way. Now, is there an opportunity for this board to maybe look at this and look at it and say, okay, where is a little more community benefit, as we'll call it, okay, from a project like this? Is it paving a little further down Cedar Island Road, as a couple of residents put it to me, to kind of get rid of some of the chalky dust there? Where do you judge and where do you balance it? And that oftentimes is a very difficult thing for this board to do. Any other questions or comments at this time? Mr. Roman?
I'd be curious as to how far west you were gonna pave on Cedar Island Road.
Need to go back to that plan, Sean.
It
Yeah, you
dropped
can-
off. Hang on. I think it's roughly to about here, is it not, Jim?
Right,
Like
it's,
the line between 57 and 58?
that's right. It's about not quite 100 feet past our intersection there, so it takes it to a full taper past that intersection.
Between 57 and 58?
Can you see the
Correct.
mouse, Mike, on the screen?
I can't
Wiggle
see
around.
anything, no.
Look, right here. Can you see the mouse? Here, I'll just point to it.
Still don't see it.
It's right here.
Oh,
Right.
It's above
gotcha.
like the A and the D in the word road.
Okay, so it's before the Carla Hills.
Well, there's
There's
one
two of them.
driveway that's.
Oh, is
further
there,
down
is
here.
there a
That's the
first?
second.
That's the second.
Yeah, so it's
Yes.
paved to the first one already.
Okay, it does pave to the first one.
So they're adding these 50 feet.
Okay, well, there's a community benefit.
So, there you go. So, you know, I got more complaints over that road in the last 2 weeks than you could shake a stick at. And a lot of them come in here and well, what happens now when there's more cars on there and this, that, and the other thing? And these are problems that we're aware of, but I keep harping on the road commission to do improvements in the area, whatever they may be. Their wisdom now is looking at doing roundabouts anywhere and everywhere on this planet. Statistically, they do work. It may not be real comfortable, but they do work. So, you know, what is the impact going to be on Bogey Lake Road? It's not going to be measurable according to the traffic reports that we have, because people will be traveling different times a day, and there'll be different in and out. Now, if you take and you say the average household, let's just say, has 2.5 cars, okay? That's 300 cars, you know, basically, potentially parked in there. How much, what direction, et cetera, no one has a specific answer for that because it's anybody's guess. But paving the road further, potentially to the end of the site, is a tidy sum, but it may cure a lot of problems for a lot of people and get that dust down in that area for persons on both sides of the road. It's just a possibility. If you say lessen the density and do this, then things don't seem to gel. And I know that from my end. So I don't want to take and be unrealistic. But if we just say, no, this isn't going to fly, and we don't like it, then they can come back here with a parallel plan and put in 109 units. And at that point in time, we will have a minimal amount of say-so, but not as much as this. But this site plan having 28% of open land on it is significant because you live in a community right now that has 28% open land.
So again, respectfully, it's not the less of two evils. We still have a third option to dictate a number from this board. It's a PD, so we still can say a number. I threw out the number like 60 to 80 homes last time you came before me. Sounded a lot more reasonable. 77 feet across is so small. I mean, that's a very small yard. So I'm going to remain a no until we get well below 100. So if you're willing to get, there.
All right,
You can still, don't cut off my cheering, I like it. I'm teasing. You can still build. We don't have to, there's not an either and or is being presented. There is a third option. And if we come up with a number, it's not telling you no. Basically what happens is you can still build. Perhaps you won't make as much money and because you're not getting as many homes with high density, but it's not a no if we come up with our own number. You are still able to develop.
Mr. Supervisor,
You're just
may I-
not developing on how you want to
please
develop.
address the board.
Well, we appreciate everyone's comments tonight and take them to heart, and thank you, Ms. Smith. I am probably guilty throughout this entire process of focusing on density and numbers. And I've spent a tremendous amount of time with your master plan. It's confirmed by SEMCOG, it's confirmed by Oakland County, it's confirmed by the state of Michigan, and frankly, the federal numbers. It's not about density, and your master plan says this throughout it. It's about housing opportunities and diversified housing opportunities. The reality is right now, White Lake Township, not unlike a lot of townships, has a very homogeneous lot offering. Essentially, they're all large lot homes. And historically, that's been very, very absorbed well. It's been important and so forth. But your master plan, not me, SEMCOG, all these other sources, talk about the fact that those housing types just frankly aren't in demand anymore. We've got a growing senior population. We've got a growing working class population. We've got young couples without kids. We've got families. We've got a lot of people that either A, can't afford the large lot homes, or B, as you pointed out, Mr. Supervisor, just frankly can't, or just frankly don't want to maintain those. And so your master plan talks very specifically about people who want to age in place and just don't have those opportunities in White Lake Township. It talks very specifically, your numbers have gone from 37% to 30%, so a huge percentage decrease in young kids who are staying in this area. The reality is that your population isn't staying here and won't continue to stay here because either A, they can't afford or don't want what you predominantly provide is large lot, single family. And so it's not about density. And again, these are your words, not mine. It's not about density. It's about housing opportunities. And if we look forward to future generations, the health of the school systems, the health of the tax revenue, the health of the community, keeping young families in White Lake Township, in Oakland County, we're not going to do that by only offering more of the same. It just isn't there. There's plenty of turnover with existing large lot subdivision homes, people who want to live on 1 acre or 1/4 acre or 5 acres. There's plenty of opportunity, and as our population continues to grow, those homes will continue to be available. But what everyone is saying, we have a housing crisis. The housing crisis isn't more of the same. It's about diversity. It's about opportunities. Some of that is apartments. Some of that is attached. We're not providing any of that here. But really what we're talking about are reasonably sized lots with terrific amenities, great sense of community, sidewalks, parks, 28% open space. And so we're offering something that your master plan is frankly demanding. But for whatever reason, your planning commission, maybe other parts of the township aren't using the tools that the master plan has put in place. And so what we're asking you to do is to take a close look at the opportunity, the housing opportunity that we're providing here. We're really talking about 6 homes if we compare the 109 to the 115. But it's again, less about numbers, more about providing something that frankly is sorely needed, not only in White Lake Township, but in Independence and throughout Michigan. So it's living up to the wisdom of your master plan is what we're suggesting.
Okay, I am going to open it up to the public here in a minute. Thank you. So if anyone wants to come up, you have to be called up, first of all. Okay, thank you. I would appreciate if you would raise your hand, and I will call on you. Yes, young lady. And come on up. State your name for the recorder, because she has to have that, and the microphone is the only way that you can get picked up so it's broadcast.
Rick, just before we go into public comment, I think for the benefit of our residents, I want to address Jim's comments. He talks a lot about our master plan, and our master plan is only a guide. It's a tool. We're not beholden to it. Just because the master plan says something, we don't have to do it. It's just a planning guide. So I know he likes to talk to us a lot about our own master plan, but it's not a set in stone. There's nothing concrete in our master plan, and this board does have the authority to change it, so.
Sean, would you clarify that about the master plan?
Master plan is a guide. It's a land use guide, future land use guide for us, right? But we do have the ability to amend it.
Right.
And it's broad. There's a broad range of direction it gives.
Sean, I have a question. When we did our master plan, didn't we put out QR codes and ask the citizens within White Lake Township as a whole to give us feedback on how they want their community master planned? And can you talk about how many showed up that night?
Sure, yeah, and forgive me, I don't have the exact number. Actually, Mrs. Early probably does. We had a few hundred, what was it? Short of 400, 300 and some odd respondents to, I think you mentioned QR code, you talked about the survey, the community survey. We had 300 or 400, I think, was the range of survey respondents. And in this room, we had the master plan open house. We probably had a good 100 people in here. The Planning Commission actually decided to make this one of 3 focus areas because I think there were a couple of them that could see that development was coming to this corner, to this area. Sewer's not too far off. So there actually was quite a bit of discussion about this and a couple of other focus areas. So that process takes probably about a year from the time you ramp up, you study it, you put the document together, you take public comment, you share it out draft-wise, you make changes to it again, and you send it through to Oakland County and your neighboring communities. I mean, it's I want to say maybe a 14-month process it probably took us. So we can't legally do it in a vacuum. We want to do it publicly. We want to gather as much input as we can. And frankly, and I'm not criticizing anyone, it's very hard. People get busy. There's 2,000 people that live here. And, 1% of that number decided to participate in a survey. And a fraction of 1% showed up here that night. And that makes it very hard for us to plan. We bring, let's say, 500 people into the process, and in a town of 32,000 people, and that's the input we get. We get the input from the folks who show up and participate. And so it is challenging for us because we obviously apply reason and logic and knowledge and past practice and expectations of how properties may develop in the future. We look at utilities and we look at road networks. But when we put that guide together, we're doing some forecasting, and we're only able to go kind of so far with communicating the wishes of the residents if we don't get a ton of input. It would have been great if 10,000 people would have participated. That doesn't happen anywhere. a third of the people never show up. I mean, that's unrealistic, but the better the input, the better the end product.
You oversee it, you take pride in that process.
Sure, and I think we put a good master plan together, and I stand behind our master plan, and so does this board, so does the planning commission, and it doesn't mean that we all, and let me just say.
Don't mean to cut you off, but
Yeah.
we vote on that, right?
Yes,
as a
the
board.
planning commission and the board.
In the past, right?
Yeah, in 2024.
So it'd be fair to say that when we voted on it, we all on this board took a look at it and put great depth and thought into it.
I hope so, yes, yeah, right. And I, you know, I think we have a good master plan. I think we all stand behind our master plan. But I also know that if we poll everyone in here individually and ask them what they like and they don't like, we're going to get a slightly different answer. Some may be close, some worlds apart, because it's somewhat subjective, right? But that's why the guide gives you some flexibility in interpreting it, but it gives you that guideline. It gives you those rails to kind of ride on.
One last comment.
Yeah.
Supervisor touched base on that sewer coming down the road. And to me, it is, I talked in the last meeting about the public benefit for people hooking up to that, like the gentleman did on Sugden Lake that was not in the area, but he has to be into the district, and we're able to get him attached. He's pumping out every 2 weeks. So all those homes, probably, you live over there, Treasurer Roman, how many, 300, 400, 500 homes? That's going to be a benefit to those people when those sewers go down and the quality of the lake, when those septics start draining into the lake.
Yeah, there was actually some talk at the planning commission how this piece of property is the last large chunk of property along that corridor, and how I think in some people who are, and there's two ways to look at it. Sewer obviously unlocks density, and we talked about this in January here, and we've talked about it at the township board. So sewer is necessary to get more. So sewer always unlocks development potential for properties. That's not a secret. In this case, I think it was being looked at as a public benefit. Half of it's self-serving, half of it's a public benefit because the school didn't bring it across its frontage. It's a mile further away than it should be. If the school did not follow, or if the school would have followed our ordinance and brought it to the corner, I think we'd probably be having a little bit different conversation today, but they didn't, and that was years ago, and so that's where this is all at. And if the properties, I think you're mentioning to the north around the lakes, are going to get sewer, it happens one of two ways. Somebody else brings it to them, private development, or they pay for it themselves to bring it up there. Obviously, not everybody wants sewer. Obviously, not everybody would maybe necessarily need sewer. And there's obviously mixed feelings on that for those who may benefit, but it is undeniable that this advances a mile down the road, a sewer main that could serve those lakes areas. That's just a fact.
But they only need 45-plus homes to put in a sewer, correct?
They would probably be able to put septics in at that density.
But I have my notes from last time that it's 45 homes and up require a sewer.
I think
So the
if
sewer
I
would
said
still
that.
come in if they would
Yeah.
decrease their density. They
If I-
don't need up in the hundreds to have a sewer.
Right, the gross acreage for a three-bedroom house is 1 unit per acre for a three-bedroom house at Oakland County for septic. So to get to a four-bedroom house, acre and a quarter and on up. So whatever that bears out, and they use gross calculations where we generally use net for most of ours. So I think if I threw that out there, I was spitballing and saying, you're probably at 45 lots, and if you go above that, then you're looking at needing sanitary.
Okay.
Right.
I'm sorry to keep you waiting.
No.
but I
That's
wanted to-
fine. No,
I wanted
no.
to make sure residents knew what our master plan entailed.
Thanks for clarification.
Mr. Supervisor, I have one other question.
Sure.
You know, we were talking about the input that we got from the homeowners during this time as far as the surveys and everything else. And I recall that we looked at all the different pieces of land in the White Lake area and what was going to be targeted, and the participants all got stickers and put it and said, okay, this is what we're looking at. If memory serves me correctly, this was one of those areas, correct?
This was one of our 3 focus areas, yes.
One of our 3 focus areas. So at that time, we got input from the survey people at that time, correct?
We did.
Okay, that's all I would.
We did.
Okay.
Both, well, the survey, we got information from the survey, and we got information that night when there were
We're
about
all
100
there.
people in this room who were doing that exercise where they were tagging.
Right.
properties.
Mr. Rose?
Yeah, Steve, if you'll recall, Mr. Clerk, when that process started, it was actually me that advocated for us to focus on this piece. Because for the 15 years that I farmed it, I knew the whole time that it was just waiting for somebody to bring sewer up. You know, as soon as, and the guy that owned it the whole time, he was waiting for it too, you know, because he wanted lots of houses. So this was inevitable. I just hope that we could get out in front of it and, you know, try to position ourselves, be ready for this conversation. But that's how it came to be, and I was hopeful that we would be, you know, prepared for this discussion, but it was always going to become this.
Okay, we're going to go back to you, and we're going to let you take the floor.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Joyce Wojcik, 6259 Kaya Way. I'm here about the proposed Edendale development. It's not in keeping with the current subdivisions in the area. Most of the lots in that area, they're not a quarter acre, they're not a third acre, they're not a half an acre. They're acre-sized lots, three-quarter-sized lots, estate-sized lots with custom-built estate-sized homes. That's why we bought in there. The proposed Edendale development is still way too dense at 3.19 houses per acre. I've been a licensed realtor in the state of Michigan since 1981. Yes, at 19 years old, still active. Also in the state of Florida since 2001, still active there as well. I have seen projects like this numerous times, both in the state of Michigan and the state of Florida. Not that's applicable, but I have seen them come in with their planned developments and their ideas that diversity, yes, people buying White Lake because they want the elbow room, sir. I'm sorry to tell you, I've been a top producer for many, many, many years, and I can tell you firsthand that a project like this is going to come in and, in my professional opinion, is going to negatively impact the current values in that neighborhood. I've seen it happen time and time again. I'm 64 years old. I've owned many properties. I still own many properties. I sell lots of real estate here. I work in the #1 real estate agency here in North Oakland County, and I can tell you firsthand, this is not the place for this project. Southeast, off Elizabeth Lake, you're right, Mr. O'Neill. That is a whole different area. But this is not the project we need. Not to mention all the traffic on that road. It's not just dust. We have moguls over there. It's ridiculous what's going on. I understand. I'm a businesswoman as well. I like to make money. I get density is how you make money. However, it's not going to be beneficial for everybody in the area, and that's my professional opinion. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, anybody else at this time? Sir, oh, right there.
My name is Larry West, 6385 Stonewood Drive here in White Lake. I've been here for 32 years. My bigger concern is children. This subdivision, where's the sidewalk for the kids going to be? Is it going down Bogey Lake Road, or is it going to come off Cedar Island Road? It's going to have to go across that wooded lot up to the junior high. Now it's going to have to go around to the south end of the junior high, cross toward the high school. Okay, there's over 100 cars a day that go up and down that road to the elementary school. Is there going to be a crosswalk there? And is there going to be a sidewalk continuing up to the high school?
I'm taking notes, and if the supervisor allows me, I'll answer all those, but your short
Yeah,
answer is yes.
she'll respond. Just make your statement. He'll take notes and respond to these items.
Okay, because there's so many cars. During school hours, when kids are being dropped off, people coming up Bogey Lake Road from the east side, they block Bogey Lake Road sometimes trying to get into the junior high school. That backup is so far, sometimes you have to wait for them to move up before you can go through. Even though they had a green light to turn, you've got a green light to go straight. You can't go. People are parked in the middle of the road. So how's that going to affect the school kids walking to school? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay. Yes, sir.
Sorry, I got my notes on here.
All right.
Good evening. Dylan Whitnauer, 1950 Reedsview. So I live basically where the windows are in comparison to that map. As others have brought up, my lot's almost 2 acres. Not a quarter acre, not a third of an acre, not well under that. And part of why I moved out here was to start my family out here where they got space to run around. Now, I understand some people like smaller lots. I have a number of friends that do that. But some interesting numbers that I found just on a quick search of the area. Within 15 minutes of the building we're standing in, there's 107 houses for sale with a half acre or less, built since 2024. Within 30 minutes of here, that number jumps to 354, built since 2024. Now, if I look at 1 to 2 acre lots, same radius and everything, within 15 minutes, there's 5. More than one of them over $1 million. And if I look at 30 minutes, there's 19. So I just found that kind of interesting. There's a lot of demand for those bigger lots. And meanwhile, not so much for the smaller ones. Now, there are some more smaller ones being built, so I understand there's some bias in the numbers there. I found those interesting. The other thing that I hear people talk a lot about is traffic on Bogey Lake. I don't use Bogey Lake. I go the other way to the south, as do a lot of other people, through all that dirt and muck and everything. So that's something that we kind of think about a little bit about with this. Let's say that 1 car per house of that goes to work every day. Probably a third of them are going to go south. On a normal morning, I see maybe 10 cars from the area around. That's going to triple, quadruple. That's going to get real busy on that lane and a half. So, some things to think about. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentleman right there.
Ryan Gavin, 1211 Bogey Lake Road. Good evening. First, I'd like to thank everyone for your time. Discussions like this are a great opportunity for the community to come together and continue making this township the place we love to call home. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak. For like almost 20 years or so, this property has been zoned agricultural and even R1-A, consistent with the surrounding neighborhood pattern. Under R1A, this site would support, I think, 12 in the current plan is what it looks like, or more houses. The R1D classification, we obviously know it exceeds well over 100. Even with the small reductions in the past 3 planning meetings, the fundamental issue remains. This is still 3 to 4-fold increase in density compared to the longstanding zoning and surrounding character, where neighborhoods in every direction have considerably less density. The Planning Commission approved this with conditions, but those conditions do not materially change the density classification or long-term impact. It's hard to look at page 38 of the January 15th Edendale report and think that it matches the surrounding area. The 2024 master plan on page 62 identifies the stretch of Bogey Lake Road as having the largest cluster of minor and major accidents in all of the township. This is classified as a minor arterial road, a road type intended to safely carry moderate traffic, yet the township's own data shows it already leads in crash concentration. When the township's own adopted plan documents the highest concentration of serious crashes in this corridor, approving a 3-fold increase in density directly adjacent to there, it deserves much scrutiny. Traffic studies can project capacity, but the crash data reflects the reality. Adding over 100 homes to a corridor that already ranks high in accidents should give this board serious pause. If this rezoning is being justified by financial or infrastructure goals, that should be transparent. Residents deserve to know whether planning principles or fiscal considerations are driving the shift. Maintaining R1A is not anti-growth, it's pro-safety, pro-consistency, and is currently aligned with the township's own master plan data. R1A, I believe, density-wise goes from half to 3 houses, as it states. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Good evening. My name is Gene Kula, 1203 Cedar Meadows Drive. The applicant submitted a revised layout to the board's, at the board's request, and the Planning Commission considered the site plan. After that review, the commission again voted 3-2 to recommend denial. That indicates the core issue is not simply the number of lots or dimensional adjustment, but the overall compatibility of the layout and density of surrounding neighborhoods and a township's adopted planning direction. The Planning Commission is the body charged with evaluating the site plan compatibility and applying the master plan. They have now reviewed this proposal multiple times and reached the same conclusion. Speaking to Trustee Anderson and Clerk Nobles asking of the master plan, survey results showed strong community support for preserving open space, and the redevelopment workshop indicated hesitancy towards developing this site at all. I would respectfully encourage the township to evaluate whether this parcel has long-term value for parks, recreation, or open space preservation before approving any layout that permanently alters its character. For these reasons, I respectfully ask the Township Board to uphold the Planning Commission's recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I'm Brian Vivio, 6320 Stonewood Drive. Thank you for your time and patience to hear from your constituents. I'll be brief. Jim from PH Communities LLC is certainly admirable in his persistence and eloquent in his preparation and presentation. You know, if I were to have somebody represent me, it would be him. But let's not reward him for the homework he's not done. This plan of 115 houses on 64 acres of space, as everybody has said, simply does not fit with the surrounding area. All the plots in the vicinity are at least 1 acre plus. Less than a mile away is the historic Haven Hill Estate owned by Edsel Ford and Eleanor Ford. This development certainly does not fit with that legacy. There was comment of other communities on the east side, because it was Trailside Meadows, where we've racked them and stacked them at 1/3 of acres per house, but that fits with the surrounding community and the road capacity. And we now heard countless times about the cost and benefit of extending the sewer to this property, but that only actually benefits them unless Sunshine decides to sell, or maybe 1 or 2 other houses that have backed up sewers, from what I heard. I heard offhand that this will eventually get pushed through in the end. White Lake residents will get complacent after having to hear these countless meetings, but doesn't look to be the case. We know, unlike what you told us, that change has to come, that there will be development on the site, but not 180, not 125, not 120, not 115, not 109. Most of us will sit down patiently next to our dog dish for the correct answer, which is 40 to 50 houses. Looking at your concept picture in your master plan of Bogey Lake and Cedar Island is completely different than what we see up there. Go look at that concept picture. Go look at that rendering. It's nothing like what you see up there. So in closing, you don't owe PH Communities LLC anything, but you owe it to us to listen to our request. Please vote this down. Thank you.
Anyone else at this time? Once I close this, we're closed.
Hi, Deanna Mason Pena at 1861 Carla Hills Drive, White Lake, 48383. I believe in the last meeting, the price point for the home was $450,000. I don't know if that's correct.
You need to get closer to the microphone, dear.
I believe the price point for the homes in this community was around $450,000. To me, I don't believe that refers to an affordability in our community at only getting a quarter acre of land. To me, that doesn't bring you that younger generation that's being proposed to say you need to bring new life to the area and make sure that we're still generating. I also, the other point, the paving of Cedar Island, one question I would have if it did move forward is if that small portion that's already paved from Bogey Lake up to Carla Hills would actually be removed and replaced, because it's repaired, it could be repaired almost every month. Every time they fill in those large potholes, it just goes into shambles right away. Having all those amount of cars on there would be a problem. Living right there, making a left onto Cedar Island off of Bogey Lake, or making a left onto Bogey Lake from Cedar Island, it's difficult. I would say not all the time, but I would say a good handful of times, it's a difficult turn. My kid driving to high school waits at the end of that street just to be let out to get onto Bogey Lake. You bring 300 more cars, and talking about kids and families, talking about what Oakland County may do for the roads, and I know those roads are limited. I feel even without that development, it needs a roundabout. I think there needs to be development done. Putting a development, especially one of that size, before the roads are even addressed, I think is putting the cart before the horse. They just can't handle that volume. The other item, the sewer connection, it will only benefit a few outside of that development. It's not going to benefit the homes in Carla Hills. It will do the homes that are, I believe, on Lakeside, but it won't do Carla Hills. You're not going to be able to tap into a sewer line there that's at the Bogey Lake all the way in with roads and infrastructure already put in. The 28% community space for White Lake, but again, it's not for the area. The two large communities that neighbor that parcel are acre size plus lots. And it's a big difference. I know that was some of the big concerns. I'm not even opposed to how many homes per se, if it could handle it. I don't even think our area can handle it. I don't think it's gonna I think it's gonna bring down the value of my home and all the homes that are acre plus, just because you have 450 point at there, you have more land, but you don't have that estate appeal at the other ones.
Your time is up, dear.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, that poll was in the wrong spot.
Hi, Brian Simmons, 1247 Bogey Lake Road. The entrance on Bogey Lake Road is right across from my house. I can hardly get out of my driveway as it is right now. I can't imagine having another subdivision with that many homes in there trying to get out. The accidents in that stretch are horrendous. I see them all the time. Folks, what are we doing to White Lake? What are we doing to White Lake? You've got south of the football field, you've got these little subdivisions that have backyards from me to you. What are we doing? Get rid of the park. It's my understanding that's going to be a public park. Is that correct? Or is that a park just for the subdivision?
HOA.
Just for the subdivision. Get rid of the park. Look how you could open up that property. Get rid of the park. Who cares about a park? There's plenty of parks around all over the place. There's parks all over the place to go to. How many, what was the percentage?
28%.
Use them. Use them. They don't need that. Open up the property and move the houses around. And get rid of half the houses that they got in there. It's horrible. This is gonna be a horrible plan. You've got Whispering Meadows, big lots. You've got the subdivision on the west side of this property, big lots. And now you're gonna put in this little tiny jammed up community. It's garbage. I would deny it totally. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. Rob Pachotti, 6289 Kiowa. I've been to the last 3 planning commission meetings. I've spoke at all of them, and I know you guys have read my comments, so I'm just going to be real brief here. I'm not going to tell you anything new. I just wanted to hear from one more person. Just want to talk about right product for the right place. The developer continually touts the success of the preserve at Hidden Lake subdivision. I've been through there. I drove through there yesterday evening just to kind of refresh my memory a little bit. Houses look great. I'm sure people enjoy living there, but the point is it fits with the area. When you look at the surrounding area, it's zoned R1D. The lot sizes are consistent. It makes sense. Where we're talking about here, Bogey and Cedar Island, you've heard it from everyone else. We have acre plus. The homes that aren't, the vast majority of them back to a golf course. Their lake frontage. There's additional perks that come along with that small lot size that opens up the view. This is just not what the people want here. I think you've heard a lot of it. I'm not going to take up too much time here. Just want to get my voice in. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else out there? Last call.
Nancy Balea, 6185 Whispering Meadows. When I read through the development plan, one of the things I noticed was the assumptions made about the number of cars that would be leaving the development. And I think that was very understated. We just said, what was it, 2.5 drivers maybe per house. And if everybody's 4 to 5 days back to work, if this is a working group of people, that 2 people, 2 cars times what, 115? We said we're at 115. That's 230 leaving every day. And I know the assumptions didn't state that was the impact you saw. I think you said, I don't know what, I don't have it with me, but it's in the development information there. So I wanted to say, I think the assumptions were bad on the amount of traffic that would be leaving from the subdivision. And I think that if the vision is that even if we get it smaller, that people will walk to school versus drive, that the seniors won't all drive to school now. Carl Hills, you said they're driving, it's just right around. If we have paths, that you can make it friendly for people to walk, even like when you go down in Commerce, they've got a crossing guard, for people that have young children. They walk them across the streets, right there on, is that Oakley or, where Commerce ends there. That'd be nice to have a vision that you'd get some foot traffic. But again, like the other fellow said, it's got to be safe foot traffic. You can't have people getting nervous and road rage. We have all that issue now, and getting impatient, and somebody getting hit and killed is not going to be a good thing. So that's my thoughts.
Thank you. Anyone else? I'm going to let you respond to some of these statements.
Thank you, and thank you for all those statements. I'll kind of summarize them because they were in big groups. The first one, and the last woman who spoke, and many others spoke about traffic. It's important to remember, because this has been a long process, we did have and submitted to the township a very, very detailed traffic study from probably the best traffic engineers in the state, Fishbeck. The township's engineer, DLZ, reviewed that. We also submitted it to the Road Commission of Oakland County, and they reviewed it. So in terms of the statistics and the assumptions and the data that was put forth in the traffic study that's been developed, it's been submitted, it's been reviewed by DLZ, the township engineer. They didn't find any anomalies in it or any disagreement with it. Typically, a project like this would have a requirement, unlike or very similar to any other project that comes to the township. Probably A-cell, D-cell lanes would be added. They'd look at turning movements and things like this. What we've already done is we've gone to the Road Commission of Oakland County, and they've asked us to say, hey, we understand what you would be required to do, but because of the curves on Bogey Lake Road, because of the high school and middle school being so close, because of the existing traffic and the proposed new traffic, Road Commission of Oakland County, along with its proposed improvements of Bogey Lake and Cedar Road, has asked us to do quite a bit more, which we've agreed to do. They've asked us to put in a center left turn lane along nearly the entire length of Bogey Lake Road, going north well beyond our property, going up to, forgive me, I forget the name of the next road up on the right-hand side, but going up towards those lake neighborhood entrances, that consistent left-hand turn lane, along with our A-cell, D-cell lanes, makes that stretch of Bogey Lake Road considerably safer for existing homes on the right-hand side of the street. It makes it, most importantly, consistently safer for kids going to school, families going to school. So we're providing that above and beyond as a community benefit for White Lake Township at the request of Road Commission of Oakland County, not at the requirement, but at the request of Road Commission of Oakland County, that'll tie into their planned improvement at Cedar Island Road. Cedar Island, by the way, we took a quick measurement. We're actually extending that pavement from where the existing pavement ends an additional 250 foot. So it's a lot more than 50 foot. It's a 250 foot of additional pavement, curbs, road improvements. Other things that came up were, well, we'll just go back to it again because it's been talked about: density, larger lots, and so forth. Again, keep in mind that under the, someone mentioned R1A. Although it is currently zoned R1A, the master plan doesn't even consider R1A. It considers R1C, R1D, M1, M2 in planned development. And again, we're at the low end of that RM zoning. RM zoning could anticipate up to 300 units on this property, as Mr. O'Neill pointed out, which obviously seems way too much. So again, we're on that very low end of that scale. What's important to remember, again, if we're going back to housing opportunities and planning for active seniors, planning for young families, planning to retain younger families in the community, large lots don't mean just more open space. They generally always mean, especially with new construction, larger homes. People have mentioned, and I think it was an accurate description, of estate homes, million plus homes. Yes, those could be developed here, but frankly, we don't think that the township or Oakland County needs more of those. What we need is, we're in the middle of a housing crisis. What we need are what the market is demanding. It's the smaller lots, moderately sized homes at I agree with you. Affordable homes are not necessarily affordable for landscape architects, but a $450,000 new construction home with new kitchens and all the amenities, two-car garage, is an attainably priced home, and we're excited to bring those to the township. The parks and open space here are tremendous amenities. They're not only active areas for the community, but we're preserving an entire tree row, all the vegetation. What that does is not only give active open space areas, but it preserves habitat, it preserves trees in the community, it preserves, kind of that traditional green space that's important not only for people, but for all the animals and so forth. Let me just go down my list here. I think that really, sidewalks. Sidewalks are an important thing. Our neighborhood is proposing sidewalks on both sides of all the internal streets. We're proposing a sidewalk down the entire length of Bogey Lake Road and a sidewalk or a walking path all the way down Cedar Island. We're also working closely with the school system. We've provided letters working with the superintendent. And we are working with safe routes to school. We'll have a safe crossing at Cedar Island and Bogey Lake. We're working with the school system. We've committed to extend it all the way into their campus, tie it into their current sidewalk system. So I agree, there is absolutely will be the opportunity, and there will be a safe crosswalk at that Cedar Island and Bogey Lake. Certainly an opportunity for a crossing guard there. Families, kids will be able to walk and ride their bikes to school safely. Not only school kids, but people who live in this neighborhood and even beyond now can easily ride their bikes to the high school to play tennis, to go to the pool, to do all those cool things. So those are some of the community benefits in addition to the sewer. It's the widening of the roads, it's the expansion at the road commission's request, it's the additional sidewalks and the open space, not only for parks, but for all those natural benefits as well. Anything I didn't answer, Mr. Supervisor?
I think you addressed most of the comments from the public.
One question that came up, if I could
Yes.
jump in. Someone had asked about the resurfacing of the existing roadway. Could you address that?
At this point, our plans don't anticipate resurfacing that existing small stretch between Bogey Lake going on to Cedar Island. Our improvements are going to pick up where that ends off and go 250 foot. It's our understanding that the Road Commission, again, is planning an improvement there that would change that whole area.
It'll change all the dynamics of that. Okay, back to the board. Further questions or comments? Mr. Ruggles?
I guess this would be for Sean. I'm trying to understand kind of how this process moves forward. Right now, we're talking about the site plan and then the rezoning after this.
Right.
You can't have one without the other, right?
Correct. Our ordinance requires that a PD rezoning be accompanied by a site plan. I mean, it doesn't really matter what order you address it, but they do not proceed ahead without both.
So, I'm trying to wrap my head around it. So regardless, this will go back to the planning commission?
Correct. The process, well, not regardless. If it's approved tonight, it will go back to the planning commission for final site plan. If it's denied tonight, it stops.
It stops. And you can't have a rezoning without a site plan approval. So would the rezoning go down to the planning commission? Or would?
We won't make it that far.
If it gets approved here, if the rezoning gets approved here, that's it. It's rezoned. Well,
Correct.
first reading and then second reading.
Right. By state law, by state law and by our ordinance, townships, cities, villages, the rezoning is something that the township board can only take action on. So site plan can be done administratively. Anyone can take care of the final site plan details, but the rezoning piece is something that only this board can approve. It does not go back to the planning commission.
Okay, thanks.
Mr.
But in the case of a PD, it has to accompany a plan.
Right, he was asking me about rezoning.
I know, I just wanted
Yeah,
to
and we did-
clarify. That's
we
the
did-
general rule, but in the case of a PD, it has to accompany
If
the
there's
plan.
no site plan, then there's no rezoning request.
Right, like I had mentioned a minute ago, they have to move forward together or they don't move forward at all.
I was just trying to understand the flow. Make sure we all understand.
Correct.
2 for 1. Trustee Smith.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. Okay, I have a couple questions and comments. So last time, Jim, I asked you if you lowered the density, would you continue with the sidewalk? And you said you didn't know at that time. Now, you talked about sidewalks, but again, my question will remain, if the density is lowered, will you do the sidewalk?
If the density went to the R1D, we would really have to reconsider all the entire plan and all the amenities. I mean, the reality is that the plan as it's presented, and we really have consistently lowered that density, all these things cost money. And so we would really have to look at how do you then build a plan at a lower density. Maybe ultimately, if I think you had mentioned 43 lots, if 43 lots were possible, they probably would be those $1.5 million estates
I
that
prefer
may
to
not have
see you
that.
in the 60 to 80 range. I'm not the 40%. I don't
Okay.
know where you got that number from.
Okay.
I talked about in the 40 was sewer, but I think 60 to 80 is a more appropriate density. So the one thing this board can do and control is our job is density. So I'd like to see the density, as you know, significantly lower. So my one question is about the sidewalk. Again, so if you lower your density, it doesn't stop you from doing the community benefits. You still can put in a park, put in a sidewalk, put in the sewer with lower density.
This plan with those type of amenities just isn't financially feasible at 60 or 70 lots. It would be a completely different plan and would have to reconsider all those things.
Okay, I mean, you can. We're not stopping you from doing that. You're choosing financially not to provide those community benefits.
No one can go to work and do whatever their career is at a planned loss.
Okay, so then, again, I want to urge my fellow board members to consider that we are in a PD and that we can set a number, a reasonable number. So I just want to try to get you on my side. Think about it. And then you talked about housing opportunities, and I did want to mention, I don't really think your statements are quite accurate. We do have several condo developments happening right now. So you suggested that we don't. Actually, PH Homes is putting one in the southeast corner of White Lake Township. So we do offer those diversity options already. We are putting them in. So that's one thing that I consider, that we are already offering several attached and condo type developments. So I don't see a need for any more. Like, for example, I also voted no on Avalon on M59 due to density. I think it's too high. I just don't think that's what's best for White Lake Township and our residents. So I'm going to continue to stand with our residents and vote for their wishes, and I'm going to vote no on this. I don't think it's right for White Lake.
Ms. Smith, I would thank you because you've been very consistent, very clear, and I respect that.
Thank you.
And so I appreciate that. I would, one point came up earlier, and Sean, maybe just fact check me, but the Planning Commission at the very early stage, I believe, did recommend approval already for the planned development, the rezoning. They have consistently said no to the recommended denial for the plan, but it is a kind of a bifurcated, but accompanied parcel. And so I believe that the Planning Commission has already recommended approval for the planned development, should you consider that tonight.
That is correct. At the December meeting, the Planning Commission, when they took action on the site plan to recommend denial, they at that same time moved the rezoning, identifying that PD was acceptable to them, but they had concerns about the plan at that time. So that is the one thing that's been waiting here while the site plan has kind of gone back and forth and made changes.
Okay, anybody else?
I had a question.
Mr. Rome.
So if you had to go down to a density of 60 to 80 homes, you said you'd have to build bigger homes. And what do you think your price point would be with bigger homes with 60 lots? Are you talking over $1 million per home?
So it turns out I'm a land planner and not a builder. But yeah, I think based on my 35 years experience working with Craig, I think it would be easy to say at today's construction numbers, at today's development costs, that yeah, these would be $1 million+ homes. I think we see those going up in other parts of Oakland County. And those aren't undesirable homes, but they don't help solve our housing crisis.
Yeah, thank you.
We don't have a housing crisis in White Lake.
Anyone else? I'm looking at you, yeah.
I know you're looking at me. Just clarification when we're talking about the zoning, as far as what the Planning Commission did as far as for December. But we haven't, we've got the first reading. We didn't have a reading on that after they did that in December?
We did not, because there was not an accompanying site plan to move forward with it. Generally, when projects like this come through, the site plan gets approved at the same time, preliminary site plan gets approved at the same time the first reading happens, and then at a subsequent meeting, the second reading is held, which by law is required 2 readings, and then the rezoning is adopted. The map amendment is complete. So it didn't move ahead because there was not a site plan that the board wanted to move ahead with it at that time.
So that's why we have it as first reading now, because now we have the preliminary site plan.
Right, and so to back up, you've only seen this once. This has been to the planning commission 3 times. It went in December, and when they said recommend denial but move the rezoning along, everything held, I should clarify, held off until they went back in January, took the unit count from 125 down to 120, then came back in January with that. Again, the recommendation was for denial on the site plan, but they didn't consider the rezoning because that had been considered and moved along in December. The applicant wished to make an amendment and come back to the planning commission in January, tried to come up with a plan that would get support. At that time, the developer asked in January to move it along to the board for consideration anyway, and it came to you guys, and that's when you made the decision to hold off on doing anything with the first reading because you were not going to approve the site plan in January at 120. You instead came up with a plan to very specifically remove 5 lots, send them back with a new plan, which is what is on the screen today, and that's what the planning commission reconsidered on February 5th. And so now it's back to you for consideration of this revised plan, but the same rezoning request, is still in front of you.
Sean, I have the meeting minutes from when that rezoning request recommendation was approved by the planning commission.
Yeah, it's in the packet.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that. The motion was made to approve the rezoning request to plan development subject to all staff and consultant comments being addressed and a recommendation for preliminary plan approval to the township board. That was the motion. Just wanted to clarify, that was their recommendation.
Okay, any other comments from the board? Saying none, seeking a motion?
I'm not sure what the motion would read.
Well, I'll make a motion
Have me very
to,
confused.
I think, make a motion to approve the planning commission's recommendation to deny this project. Let me pull up
Okay,
their.
rephrase that.
Yeah, I got to pull up I can make it better. Let's see. I'll pull up their.
Preliminary. Oh, and one motion?
So I'd make a motion to uphold the planning commission's recommendation to deny the preliminary site plan? Is that where we're at?
Sounds better.
Yeah.
I have a motion, looking for support.
Support.
Motion and support, roll call vote.
Trustee Voorhees,
If denial means yes, then yes.
Denial,
If to vote
We're
yes
upholding the planning commission's
yes.
denial.
is a yes,
so it's a
correct?
no.
So it's, if
No,
I,
it's
It's a yes.
her voting yes means to say no.
We're agreeing with the.
Like voting.
Yes.
Lisa, we're agreeing with the planning commission.
Yeah, I'm agreeing
and
with the planning
Planning commission said no.
And denying the preliminary site plan.
Yes, so a yes is agreeing with the planning commission, and the planning commission said no.
am I saying that correctly? Is that,
Yeah, you did.
Yes,
Yeah.
correct. You said that correctly.
she said yes.
Can you say the motion
Sure.
again?
I'd like to make a motion.
Why don't you just say and make a motion to deny?
Oh, I said that first,
No,
but you
just
wanted
deny
me.
flat out.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's cleaner,
So make a motion to deny
the preliminary site plan.
the preliminary site plan.
Okay. They made the motion, looking for
I'll
support
support,
for
yeah.
that motion.
She supported.
I'll support.
You support, motion support, roll call vote.
Trustee Voorhees,
Yes.
Supervisor Kowal,
No.
Trustee Ruggles,
No.
Trustee Anderson,
No.
Treasurer Roman.
No.
Clerk Noble, no.
Motion
Trustee
carries.
Smith, yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Sorry, I thought you voted.
Carry, right?
Motion doesn't carry.
Motion does not carry.
Motion does not carry.
So,
I'd like to make a motion to approve the preliminary site plan.
I'll second.
motion, support?
Can I ask that if you are going to do this, if you're going to do this, I would ask just at a minimum that you require that all of the review comments at preliminary be incorporated into the final site plan?
Council did not have me put that in my
I
motion.
was looking at him to do that.
All right, I'll add that to my motion. Subject to planning commission,
All consultant and staff, all staff consultant comments.
all staff and consultant comments.
Right.
You got that, Hannah?
Do you, Mr. Roman, have made the motion to approve
Preliminary site plan.
preliminary?
Mr. Noble seconded, I
Mr. Noble
believe.
seconded. Just making sure. Any, one second. Any further concerns or modifications?
I have nothing else to add.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Voorhees,
No, to not approve it.
Supervisor Colwell,
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
No.
Trustee Ruggles,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson.
Yes.
Motion carries. Subject to all of the reviews, obviously, so. Okay,
I'd like to make another motion, Rick.
go right ahead.
Motion to approve rezoning from R1A and AG to PD.
And that would be to move it
Plan
to second reading?
Second
And-
reading.
Can you repeat that, Mike?
Motion to rezone from R1A and AG to PD and move to second reading.
That's a proper motion.
We have a motion, look for support,
Can I have a question?
question?
Technical question for Sean. So does this go back to planning commission? No.
Site plan will go back to planning commission. The rezoning is
Does not.
dealt with here, but this is first reading.
Because it's a PD.
Right, so this is first reading. If it's approved, then to go to second, then second reading generally happens at the following month. And if that is approved, then it moves fully into the final site plan. And because it's a PD, the final site plan phase will include going to the township board for final site plan consideration, or planning commission for final site plan consideration, and then the development agreement that must accompany that plan goes to the planning commission for their consideration. And that document is recommended back to you. So you'll see this again, if this moves ahead, at the time of development agreement approval with a recommendation from the planning commission at
Okay,
that
I
time.
thought it finally made its way back to the planning commission. It does.
It goes to the
Yeah.
planning commission for final site plan and then which they'll take action on, and then the development agreement, which they'll make a recommendation to you on.
Okay.
And you'll take the final action on the development agreement piece at the very last step in the process.
If it stalls at the planning commission, what then?
Pardon?
If it stops at the planning commission, what happens then?
We will have to see what happens. That has not happened before. In 23 years, I have not seen a project go through to final at the planning commission and then stop there.
Yeah, but that's not his question. What if it does stall is his question.
My answer is that in 23 years, I haven't seen it happen, so I can't tell you. So technically, by the ordinance, it has to go through that process in order to be approved.
When you say technical, you mean it has to, right?
Yes.
Based on the idea, based on what the ordinance and everything else says as far as the planning commission having the final.
That is the
final rule on that.
process.
That's the process.
Okay.
But they
It's just-
they technically can deny it again. They've denied it this whole time, and someone would have to change their
Okay,
vote.
we're getting off track of the
Correct.
zoning request here. So,
Yeah, we have yet to have a full planning commission at any of these meetings to make a decision. So frankly, by the time it comes back, I don't know what the decision would make. And obviously, that will have to be seen.
of course.
Yeah, Liz, the planning commission has final say on site plan.
Right.
Okay, so you've made the motion for rezoning?
Motion for rezoning.
You supported?
Supported it.
Roll call vote?
Trustee Voorhees,
No.
Clerk Noble, yes. Supervisor Cowell,
Yes.
Trustee Anderson,
Yes.
Trustee Smith,
No.
Trustee Ruggles,
No.
Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Go to second reading. Okay. Next item. Consideration of preliminary site plan approval for Jack's Car Wash.
You can hear? I want you to sign it. I will sign it. So,
Hang on, Sean.
All of you guys, not Liz, good job. Thank you for recognizing us and what
You're welcome.
all of you others and you too.
Let's do a call meeting to order.
All of you others, that's shameful.
Call to order, please. Thank you. Jack's Car Wash, front and center.
so while we wait for Todd and Jim to walk up here in the spirit of efficiency, the last time this project was here was at your December meeting, and at that time there was only an issue regarding the driveway location. Yep. On your current screen, you'll see the past plan that showed an access directly out to Bogey Lake Road north of M59. At that time, you had said go back and relocate. Go back and relocate the driveway so it goes off of what they're calling Audubon, which I've never heard of and is not on any other map that I've seen.
Probably
so-
Autobahn, spelt wrong.
Audubon is further down the road, like a mile, so I don't know. But let's just call it the private access drive that runs parallel to M59. This is what they came back with. It's been reviewed just very quickly by staff to make sure at least it meets some of the standards. And obviously there are, as was the case with the last request, there's a set of comments that still need to be addressed at final. But we're comfortable with this moving ahead and believe that at this point, the driveway relocation meets what the board was asking to do. I think Todd has a whole slideshow. I don't know if you guys need it, and frankly.
Listen, I'm going to tell you right, I mean, I'm not speaking for the board, but I'm going to tell you that what you said couldn't be done, by God, you did it.
Yeah.
Okay? Isn't that a miracle? Okay? It's called creative ingenuity, okay? And I think that you eliminated most, if not all, of the concerns of traffic problems in that area, and I think that was really the biggest concern.
I think one of the things, unless you really want to go through this, I don't know that that's going to be necessary.
I agree.
One of the things I want to point out is, I'm not a board member, I'm just on steroids because of a sinus infection. You'll notice that, the building being out in front on the corner actually kind of cuts down on the view shed into the site. No one wants to look at vacuums and parking, and I think that this may do a little bit better job of from Bogey Lake Road or, heading westbound, kind of cutting off what may be, that's what was previously going to be seen from this intersection. And frankly, this is gonna, I think, look better and then function the way the board wanted to. So we have no reservations with this and frankly would recommend that you move this along to final site plan.
Any questions or comments from the board? You met the objective, I believe.
Yeah.
No,
gentlemen.
I would just like to thank you. Last time I had diagrams and drawings, all kind of stuff going, and you followed it along and made it safer for our residents, and that's what's important here, so thank you.
With that, I'll make a
I
motion.
wanted to comment too, thank you.
Go ahead.
I don't go that Taco Bell, so it wouldn't have been a concern for me, but yeah, seeing that, I didn't read even further into the notes because you listened to us, so thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve the preliminary site plan approval and move it along.
Support.
For Jack's Car Wash. Motion, support, all in favor?
Get a roll call, Rick. Parts financial, get a roll call.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll do a roll call.
Yeah. Supervisor Cowell.
Yes.
Clerk Noble, yes. Treasurer Roman.
Yes.
Trustee Smith.
Yes.
Trustee Voorhees.
Yes.
Treasurer Roman.
You already called me.
Oh, sorry.
Twice.
Trustee
Over here.
Anderson.
What?
Yeah. Must be from
And
New York.
Trustee,
Twice?
Hey,
From New York.
Trustee,
Ruggles.
did you call me?
Trustee Smith,
Clerk Noble,
already
did you
voted.
call me?
twice.
Twice.
I didn't hear that. Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yeah.
I appreciate your patience tonight. Okay. Now bring back those free wash certificates you promised everybody, including the earlies.
Absolutely not. I'm not any part of that.
He's joking.
Mike, only an attorney would call you out on that, okay? All right. But she has to, she's doing her job. See, Mary, get your car clean. You're likely to get it before we are. We can't take it. So, all right, moving right along. No, you're gonna hit me in the head with it. We have a FOIA appeal for Joshua Hunter, under new business. It'll be item 9A. It is the recommendation of our FOIA coordinator that, let me get the proper language here, grant this appeal and reverse the de facto denial created by the alleged non-response. And therefore, will give us the time to look for what it is he's looking for. I make that in the form of a motion to approve, to grant the appeal and reverse the de facto denial created by the alleged non-response. That is in the form of a motion. Looking for support?
Support.
I have motion and support. All in favor? Aye. Done. Thank you. Resolution 26003 to approve P25 simulcast systems interlocal agreement between County of Oakland and the Township of White Lake. Well, as you all know, we have these agreements with the county and they're like, what? Should I say the word one-sided? Okay. You want to use their equipment, their system and everything as such, we have to abide by their rules. Any questions or comments from the board?
Did Lisa review this one?
We did, and
We did, 9B.
the chief is prepared if you want. Yes, we reviewed that, we prepared that resolution.
Chief, any comment? No.
We have to have it for the.
It's
for
a
use
tool
of
in the
radios.
box, and that's all there's to it. Yeah. Okay, looking for a motion?
Motion to approve resolution 26-003.
I'll support that motion. All in favor? Aye. Let's have it. Resolution 2604 to approve moratorium on the issuance of approvals for permits for data processing centers. Quite the controversial subject matter. I guess if you don't want things humming and floating across the room next to your house, you know, maybe it's a good thing. I don't know. I've been told all kind of stories. So we'll see what has to be said. Questions or comments from the board? Counselor? Anything to add?
No? I was asked to prepare, revise a resolution that was presented to me. We've prepared this resolution to give the Township Community Development Director and consultants an opportunity to review the ordinance and bring back recommendations to the Planning Commission.
Very good.
I'd just like to say a couple of things. This is a very hot topic in other communities, Mr. O'Neill. That, you know, with, you know, the zoning impacts local energy grids, water supplies. There's just too many unknowns at this current date and time out there. You're gonna hear, you could hear both sides to an argument, but I think it would be the best for residents of White Lake to give it a pause right now and let our professional staff do some due diligence.
Become a little more familiar with the subject.
Familiar with the subject.
Bless you.
So the White Lake is limited on where this thing will not go in White Lake. But why not do a year moratorium? Why 90 days?
That's a good point. How far could we go out, Lisa?
Because other communities have done a year.
Yeah, I agree, Andrea.
You have to be able to justify the year. And what we've done here is we've put the 6 months in here with an opportunity for extension if after you've continued to make progress, you haven't reached a conclusion.
Sure, okay.
Lisa, wouldn't
Thank
the
you.
best justification be that government is slow? I mean, it's the truth.
Yeah, in all fairness to the planning department, you know, we have you know, we've been tasked with the last 2.5 years with the Township Hall, Civic Center, weekly meetings, going over numbers. Our community development director.
Sleepless nights.
Working every day on, you know, looking at change orders, catching things on invoices left and right. He's done a great job So I think a year would be probably more appropriate for
If
us.
you're inclined to amend the resolution to be a year, then I suggest you postpone this matter for a discussion as attorney-client privileged communication
I got you.
before we take any further
So
action.
I have one last question. So if we go with the 6 months, we can come back, correct?
Yes, there is a provision in here that if it's demonstrated that you've made progress and the work just isn't done yet, it can come back for
Okay.
another resolution extending it.
Okay.
I think I would leave it as.
Yeah, I think we're fine.
Okay.
Leaving it that way.
Where were we?
Yeah, we can make a motion.
Anyone else? Mr. Rowe?
Yeah. I'd like to see short-term and medium-term results from the communities that are allowing these things. I mean, if it were up to me, I'd want this thing for 3 to 5 years. I don't think until then you really know what the effects are. I know that White Lake, we have a ton of lakes around here. I'm afraid some of these things could dry up our aquifers. I got a private well, and you know what? That thing could dry up. Never mind the electrical grid. Our electrical grid needs upgrading as it is. It's weak. I don't know how many of you guys remember when we had the power outage for wasn't it for like a whole week?
2003, July.
2003.
End of June.
These
6
things
days.
suck up enough electricity. I wouldn't be surprised if a data center takes up more electricity than the rest of the residences in the township. I really wouldn't be surprised.
And good point, we're on a community welfare,
Oh my gosh, yeah.
our citizens out there.
Well,
Yeah.
the entire township is.
Is well.
Well, period, that's
Yeah.
it. There is no, I will get to you, sir, honestly. There's no, you have no alternate source of water in the township. It all comes out of the ground, period, endo.
Yeah.
So, there are concerns. I think it's prudent to enact this now, and we can extend it and/or look at the circumstances as time goes forward, so.
Yeah, the water usage from these plants, and from the research I've done, it would either be evaporated, recirculated. I'm not quite sure if it would be discharged, but there's no way the Commerce Township would take all that water. We would be over our limit of REUs. Yeah, so, so I definitely support the moratorium. Love to learn more about them, love to see how these communities do, but I don't think 6 months is enough, you guys.
Well, I think it's a good start for now. We can always
Yep,
extend it.
agreed.
So do we, just for a point of clarification, if we do enact or pass this moratorium for 6 months, do we have to wait for 6 months before we extend it?
No.
We can go ahead and, after we get some research and find out what the positive and negative things about it, we can then go in and make an adjustment to extend this for a year or 2 years or something like
So
that.
keep in mind that section 3 of the resolution has a date of May 1st where the Community Development Director is going to provide some reports and recommendations for ordinance amendments to the Planning Commission. So by May, there is already a deadline of May 1st in this resolution where action is going to have taken place. Reports are going to be prepared by people who are, trained in planning and development, hopefully in the area of data processing centers. So by May 1st, Planning Commission should have, if it deems it necessary, a proposed ordinance to consider.
Could that ordinance just ban data centers? I mean, if supporting information was there.
So again, these are conversations I would prefer to have in attorney-client privileged communication, but I will tell you that you cannot there is a legal prohibition of exclusionary zoning. Now, there are factors that come into play to determine whether a particular use is considered excluded and in violation of the Constitution, but I can't sit here and tell you what those are and where it would be, and we wouldn't even know if it was excluded unless we know the location that's being proposed to see if there are other uses similar in adjacent areas. Like, there's just so many factors to consider. I can't give you an answer.
Just too new?
No, exclusionary zoning applies to any use, not just data centers. But I'm applying it to data centers because you're asking me, what if we just say no data centers? That's what would be considered, but we would need to know more. Are there any areas next to us? Like, there's a host of factors that a court would consider to determine whether you have violated this provision. And I'm sitting here today, I can't tell you whether if you exclude it, it will meet those requirements, and you would have been deemed to have excluded that particular use in violation of exclusionary zoning.
Can you simplify that for us, Lisa?
Yeah, let's postpone this so we can discuss this in a more controlled environment.
Well, there's lots of different business types that we don't allow in our township. And they're in neighboring communities, like we don't allow dispensaries, right?
Right, but there was an opt-in or an opt-out of that. That was
That
different.
came in from the state level.
Yeah.
Well, there's others, strip clubs,
We don't give
right? We
cable.
can go right down the list on all
Yeah,
those.
for example, adult entertainment uses are protected by the First Amendment, and we do allow adult entertainment uses. It's restricted, and there are only a few spots in the township where actually one could be. We were sued over this a number of years ago, and we're successful in defending ourselves because we do not exclude that zoning district. No community can. It was actually, and I'll have to rely on Lisa for this, but it was actually a City of Detroit, I think Supreme Court case, Lisa, wasn't it?
Yeah, there are a lot of cases.
I mean, City of Detroit Supreme Court case that dealt with adult entertainment uses. So, there are a lot of uses that people don't want near them, but we can't, like Lisa said, just decide that we want to come up with a list of all the things we don't want and say they can't be here. If we have a commercial district, we have to allow commercial uses. If we have, the utilities to support them and the infrastructure to support them and, the roadways, all those other things. And obviously we do, but like Lisa's saying, this has to be studied to determine what parameters perhaps are put around specific uses.
The issue is this is too new and there's just too much information that's unknown yet. And until there's some degree of certainty with some of this subject matter, I think it's just prudent to do this as the first step, and then we can go ahead and amend it somewhere else down the line if need be.
And we're very justified in pausing since we're a groundwater community.
Calling that guy.
Yes, I'm gonna let this gentleman speak. He's been patient as a lamb. Yes, sir.
Dylan Whitnauer, 1950 Read to you again. I'm fully in support of anything that we can do to say, let's pump the brakes on data centers in the general area even, and give it a little bit of time to develop and think about it. What I've seen of others that I've been around, I've driven past a few in Ohio, other places like that that are even much more open than this. The light pollution alone was staggering the first time I drove past one of those in the middle of the night. Think about how bright the high school football stadium is. Double it. That's every single day with the ones that I've seen. I'm not saying they're all like that. Just saying there is a lot to think about with one of these things, and a lot of us aren't even convinced that this is something that's going to stick around for a year or 2 years. If we put a 1 year pause on, anything like this bubble might burst in another 9 months.
So where were the lights coming from? Was it a parking lot?
No, it
it
was
security lights?
security lighting on the building. So around the outside of the building, they have these large cooling towers, and there was security lighting on the top of all the cooling towers and also over top of every door. Think like driving past a chemical plant or a concrete plant where you've got all those sodium lights, except it's new construction, so it's all the very bright LED instead. So that alone, to me, is a good reason to wait.
Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, so where the heck were we? We had a motion?
You need a
We need
motion.
a
Motion.
Motion,
Oh, go ahead.
okay, motion to approve resolution 26-004.
I have a motion to approve. Looking for support?
Would we want pending a report after?
Well, that's all part of that.
Okay, that's all
in
part of that.
all-
That's in the letter.
motion. If you read the resolution completely,
support
it's
it.
all there.
Yeah.
On support, motion support, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I was.
Anthony.
Real controversial subject here. Resolution 26002, Goose Nest egg destruction, Lakewood Village. Well, it's that time of year again. There's still snow on the ground. It's still frosty out, but we're planning ahead for the goose control. We've issued these permits through a variety of community organizations over the years. We have yet to deny one. I don't know about you, but all you gotta do is take a walk over Pontiac Lake Recreation Area, and I'll tell you, you got way too many geese here. They've made a more than successful comeback. We just need the bald eagles to come back to keep the geese in check. So that's coming. Okay, I don't know if you saw the bald eagle eating a fish on an ice floe in the Detroit River the other day. It was kind of cool. So, at any rate, I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 26002, Goose Nest Egg Destruction, Lakewood Village.
Support.
I have motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Ayes have it.
I'm a no.
Civic Center update, Mr. Roman.
He was a no.
Well, Civic Center update? Are we on Civic Center? Well, we've had a little setback in the Township Hall. We've got some studs that are kind of bending a little bit.
Frost heave.
Most likely from ground upheaval from our cold winter. But, you know, we knew we'd have little problems and we'll get through it all. Gosh, the public safety building, we've got this cleanup now where the windows are, so we've got some heat in there. And that's a good thing. That's allowing us to move forward with public safety. Sean, do we know when are we even close to putting plastic up on the Township Hall?
Yes, I think we're about a week away from temp heat at Township Hall.
The roof panels have been showing up this week and will commence to be erected probably during this week and into next week. And as soon as that's up, then they can start getting more of those temporary. But they've made leaps and bounds on the roof system as far as the insulation panels and all the material that in preparation of the metal roof.
Yep. Color committee's still working. Liz, anything to update us on colors?
We have a meeting next week, so we're working on, we've picked out furniture for the staff and countertop. We just finished that. We're gonna select boardroom furniture next week, and we pretty much are just down to paint in most areas, so.
Paint?
Yeah, we're really coming along. It's gonna look great.
What color?
We haven't picked a paint yet. We're working on it.
Chartreuse. Chartreuse everywhere.
I heard that.
Whatever.
But we did, from board direction, from our meeting, we did go select laminate, so.
Nice.
Okay. I think that pretty well sums it up. There'll be more activity. It'll really probably pick up the pace here once the weather warms up a little bit. So we were given some tentative dates on or about the 1st of August for the public safety building and by Labor Day for the Township Hall. So we'll see how all that pans out. Lots of things to do, little and big. Trustee comments, Mr. Steve.
Oh, okay. I just thanks everybody for coming out tonight and those people at home listening. I forgot to thank the Dublin Center for hosting our HOA. I made some comments, but I didn't thank them for being able to do that, so I want to be sure they did that. One of the things that also we talked about is the guardrail on West Valley. That was given strong support by the HOA, and I sent Mr. Sean O'Neill a comment about that. For any time if you're driving in that area and you're southbound, it's very difficult for you to be able to know where the road goes. And so you could just actually keep going and end up in that
In one of those.
in one of the homes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully the road commission will be able to do that. If anybody is driving and has that drive, I would encourage you to call the road commission and say, hey, we need a guardrail there. So, because safety is one of our concerns. The other thing that I wanted to let everybody know is that the letters went out as far as for the invocation, and they were mailed out on Friday. Appreciate the support as far as for the board on that. So we send them out 30 days in advance for notification. So our first invocation will be on our March 17th meeting. And that's all I got.
Okay, very good. Scott?
Oh, yeah, thank you. So the planning commission, our last meeting, the only thing we discussed was Edendale, which came before us here tonight. Our next planning commission meeting's been canceled. We will meet again March 5th. Don't have a whole lot else to add, except I'll just thank everybody for coming out tonight. I appreciate the comments, and I would be very cautious about going on any ice. It's looking pretty dangerous out there. Thanks. On the lakes.
On the lake, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant outside. Okay. All right.
Both.
Trustee Smith?
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. I too want to thank all of the residents that came and spoke. I appreciate you taking the time. I heard you, I listened, I did my best to represent you tonight. I'm sorry that it didn't go the way that we had hoped, but I did hear you and I did take every word to heart, so I want to appreciate you coming out. Thank you. I do want to talk for a minute about the road on Union Lake Road that Trustee Anderson just brought up. I tried for years to flashing red lights that was going to be really dangerous, and unfortunately, I think it is dangerous. So I do encourage you to reach out to Road Commission to try to get something there. A guardrail would be a good idea for safety on the road. And then I just want a quick library update. I had the pleasure of going there today as a leaf was placed on the donation tree for former Director Larry Ostrowski. It's on the lower left if anyone would like to see it. It's lovely. And I, of course, encourage any of you, if you'd like to donate to the library and place a leaf. It's always put right back into programming for the library and children's activities. The Friends of the Library also has a $1,000 scholarship happening right now for high school seniors, and the deadline is March 6th. And I believe that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Roman?
Well, if you haven't paid your property taxes yet, you still have till midnight tonight to drop your payment off in our drop box, which is on that little road on the west side of the township building. There's a drop box, so please, I don't want anyone to have to pay interest and penalties on their property taxes. Now, that said, beginning March 1st, if you still haven't paid your taxes, you're gonna need to pay them to Oakland County. We're not allowed to take your tax payments beginning March 1st. And you'll also need a revised property tax statement. We can provide those for you. You can come in and get them, or we can email you, whatever's more convenient. As always, I want to thank you all for coming out tonight. We love having you all here. We don't always agree with you. Keep in mind, each and every trustee is supposed to vote based on what we feel is best let me start over. We're supposed to vote for what's in the best interest of the township as a whole. And that's what we do. We still don't always agree, but that's what we try to do. So with that, thanks again for coming out. And that's all I had, Rick.
Okay. Andrea?
Thank you. I attended the Pine Lake Road visioning for when we start the process of the changeover from pavement or from dirt to pavement on Pine Lake Road. White Lake's gonna have another roundabout at Pine Lake Road and Fisk Road. It's like a year-long process with phases, like a spring phase and then a down phase and a phase again. It's kind of odd the way they do it. And then we've had a great winter, enjoying the cold and snow of what our 4 seasons of White Lake Township brings. The lake was really active this year since it was frozen and so cold for so long. But since it's starting to thaw and it was a 45, 50 degree day today, my recommendation is to stay off. If there's any doubt, because there's still some people that insist on going out on the lake. So my recommendation is when in doubt, stay off. Because it's so easy to go through. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Noble.
Thank you for that. I don't think you're going to convince trustee Ruggles to stay off the ice. He's an avid ice fisherman. So he might be floating around in Lake Huron from the Saginaw.
His own risk, right?
But,
I'm staying
all right. I'd just like to thank everybody for coming out. It's like Treasure Room, so it's not easy making these decisions. You have to look at what's best for the township in a whole. And I appreciate everybody for coming out. Also, we're just moving along with the Civic Center with these warm days. Hopefully we'll be able to button up the township offices, and they're moving right along with this public safety building. So things are moving pretty quick, and
coming together.
Hopefully we'll be in it by the end of the year. I don't think we're going to make the July deadline, will we, Sean?
August 1.
August 1 now?
That's what, yeah.
I'm not giving dates out.
Right. I don't think we should give dates out. We should give ballparks.
So hopefully we'll be in there
last
by the
month
end.
That's not us,
July.
that's public safety.
So,
But last month you said 4th of July. Now he's got August 1st. So just like maybe
so I look forward tomorrow to.
I can only repeat what I'm told.
I look forward tomorrow to continuing the meeting and seeing the status where we're at. And I'll see you at 9:30.
I look forward to it.
Thank you. Okay. Well, first of all, again, I know it's repetitive, but, you know, this board oftentimes is faced with some difficult decisions or controversial decisions. And we try to make the best decisions with information at hand and try to project out into the future as to where things will be. It is not an easy task, I assure you of that. Chief got some new ice rescue suits. He's just dying to try them out. So Scott, just let us know where you're at. And we'll put those to use. I signed off on those a couple weeks ago, so we're good to go there, but just make sure, don't tell your wife, okay? So, but we'll do that. Also, White Lake Police Foundation has some scholarship money available. And if you parents out there want some free money, as in FREE money, I would recommend that you get a hold of the White Lake Police Foundation. You can go to the website and get a link to that through the township site, police site. And applications are due March 31st, I believe. So we're looking to give some money away to some people that, young people that need to go to school or want to go to school. Roads. I have heard so much about roads here in the last 5 to 7 days that it's out of control. So be patient, be kind. The road commission is doing what they can, trying to get out there to patch these holes, which will miraculously reappear within a matter of days anyways, for the most part, as long as the frost cycle keeps going back and forth. I haven't heard anybody talking about frost laws right now, so I don't know when they'll be off, but we have to be mindful and be courteous, watch where you're driving, and just be patient. They'll get out there and they'll get it taken care of. And as far as the back roads go, they're really bumpy right now in a lot of places. There's some real soft spots. Pontiac Lake Road is not exactly doing real well right now either, which is one of the big pushes to get that converted to a paved surface, because it's a secondary road, but anytime something happens on M59, the traffic just piles up on Pontiac Lake Road, and it's just it just needs to be, and is long overdue. So with that, I'll say I appreciate everybody's time tonight, especially all the folks that tuned in and the folks that showed up here tonight. And I say good night. God bless, and motion to adjourn.
Support.
Motion to support, all in favor?
Aye.